Hello. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a cup of strong black coffee, and in the process engage you with an anecdote of no small amusement.
Hello, and welcome to another episode here at Nerdherder. I am J-Dub.
I am also J-Dub,
The
but slightly to the left.
And beardless.
Give me some time,
the
baby.
mythical Boop. With enough time
With enough
and concentration
and manifestation, I can grow a beard.
If the Empire can build a Death Star, Boop can grow a beard, I guess.
It's true.
Welcome to another episode here where we are after a spooky vacation in content. We're returning to our first love of Star Wars, going back to space because apparently Boop loves space-based romps and content.
Okay. We need to hash this out for like 5 seconds.
Okay.
I did not say Leprechaun was a bad movie. Leprechaun is a great movie in space. I love it so much. I just don't like Hellraiser Bloodline. And that's okay.
So when you were saying that you like when horror goes to space,
Yes.
You were specifically thinking of Leprechaun.
I was specifically thinking of Leprechaun. I was specifically thinking the end. Ayo,
Justin,
what's up, buddy?
Quick side to your rant. Shout out to Justin because Justin has been fielding my phone of friends all week for Lord of the Rings content.
You friends with my brother?
I am.
Weird.
I am, and so
you like it so much. Why do you marry him?
Thank you, Justin. Your patience beyond your years. Look, all I'm saying is if you can like Leprechaun, you can like Hellraiser Bloodline because it's really cool because the space station turns into a cube. It turns into a cube,
but it looks
Meg.
like PS1 graphics for one thing, and then the movie itself.
You are not going
to
talk to me about graphics when you're saying that Leprechaun in space is a good movie.
He comes out of a pea stream.
I can't trust anything you say anymore. I can't.
Really? That's the line?
Smoke drinks, drink drugs. Yeah, Andy is having fun in the chat.
I love Andy.
Good thing you're getting juiced up, Andy, because if this is any indication how this content and this episode is going to go,
I'm just saying.
My goodness.
Okay, look. We just
Tarkin's abs will come up. I guarantee it.
They will.
Tarkin's abs will come up, Andy.
They will.
Always give Daddy Tarkin his props and his slippers. Anyway, so if you can't tell from the teasing and the fact I always pretend that you don't know, but the title of the episode that I put up, we're talking about favorite Imperials. Yay. And so no promo for this one. And so to introduce our guest, let me see.
It's a good one.
I gotta be quick.
Can
I what you want?
I always want a you fool, but if you have one in mind.
No, that's fine. I just gotta be quick.
You fool!
You fool.
It's me. Hey, let's go.
Hey, the man with his own beer brand.
You picked that water bottle, that cup.
Michael the Triclops, Trioculus.
They're the same
Modelo. They are not, and that's
they are very different characters.
I know. I've heard the Bombadcast episode.
I will. If you want, I can recap the entire 6 books again right here, right now.
So this is
I'll
my
do
show.
it. I could probably do it from memory.
Boop is taking over.
I know for a fact that
Boop is taking the reins.
I think that was my first time like interacting with you in general. Was it?
I think we had interacted a little bit prior to that.
You're right, because we met on Twitter, not necessarily through Bombadcast.
Probably.
Right?
Listen, if anybody here in the chat or in the future, first of all, if you're not in the chat, that means you're not watching it live. You're missing out. If you're listening into this later, just still for you. If you are a ISB cop, you have to tell us. You just have to. That's the rules. Them's the rules.
Yep.
And so, but yeah, right. But welcome back to the show, Michael. You are you're really going for the belt for most guest appearances.
Most appearances. Anytime you ask, I'm here, baby.
I think we're gonna tally it at the end of the year and give like a Francor belt or something out to somebody. Just be like, look, you put up with us more than any other guest.
No, but I love being here and I love talking Imperials, so it all works out.
There it goes. It just bread and butter and cinnamon.
There it is.
It just all goes together.
It's a vibe.
It's a particular mood. So yeah, this is a series we've done a few of now where basically we just sit with our guests and we pick our top 3. We each have a top 3 in mind, and we just let the chaos ensue because we don't talk about our lists together. I don't know what Boop has. Boop doesn't know what Michael has. It's all
I can guess.
It's all live. We're experiencing it with you. We're doing it live. And so that said, we'll count down together round robin style. We'll start with Boop, Michael, me, Boop, Michael, me, Boop, Michael, me. Only breaking the chain. You know the song. If
in the slightest,
it was close though.
You have never seen an episode of Our Flag Means Death. You bastard.
Is that in there?
Yes.
Oh,
it's the best needle drop in all of that show. It's
noted.
So good.
I saw like an episode and a half.
Saw half of an episode.
I need to finish the season. I've got like 3 or 4 episodes left to go.
Boy,
well, apparently a new one's coming.
Come to my house.
But we'll break the chain only if we share one. So if Boop and Michael have one together, throw up a flag that means death. Yeah, I get references, and we'll talk about it together.
Good job, buddy.
I'm trying. Okay, I'm trying. And so this is a great question, Andy. Criteria. Because this was a point of discussion. I thought, all right, the umbrella that is Imperials, that's easy, right? They just have to work for the Empire.
No.
But there was some discussion on the Nerdherder Council, and we came to, all right, so
I wasn't invited.
So maybe Inquisitors and Troopers don't count.
Yes, they get their own episode.
Which kind of was the only thing. Like, would we give them their own episode? Like favorite stormtroopers, would that be its own? Absolutely. And Death Trooper would win. Would we do our favorite Dark Jedi, which I think counts for Inquisitors more than Empire? Yeah, that's its own list. So not absolutely and exclusively officers, but they can't be on the list because they're a stormtrooper. Because, I like the armor. Like what? Yeah. But what did that individual stormtrooper do? Like TK421, if you want to call them out for being Tarkin's boo. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Just bragging about the fact that you can read.
Right. Yeah. Read from a certain point of view, people.
Or listen to pretty good.
So
also very good.
That no, because John Hamm is not Boba Fett.
You're not going to get
on this. I can't do that.
Okay, high horse. That's high horse.
Okay.
Hop down. Hop down the high horse.
It's okay.
All right.
Right. At least I'm not in progressive commercials, John Hamm. Anyway.
What?
So that said, deserters, I don't think would count because the reasons we would include them wouldn't be for their Imperial efforts. Like Wedge and Han have way more accolades and reasons to be lovable for their work with the rebellion than they do the Empire. So, except
the way I ruled it when I made my list is if they were defined by their defection, like as a character, or if I viewed them that way, I didn't include them. So, for example, I love Callus. Callus did not make my list.
No.
That was exactly my reasoning as well. So, spoiler alert. And by the way, and I'll throw it up because you can still hear us. When I do this, I did post some teases here. So I don't know if anybody can tell, but Callus did make the thumbnail. He's hidden back there. Bonus points if you can guess
his face.
Right. Bonus points if you could guess the other one by the end of the show, just based on a slight insignia and a belt.
No idea who that is.
But I tried to get a good mix of folks in the thumbnail to give an idea, but no. I'll start off just opening the floor to it without giving too much away of your lists, because I did find that once we set some of the parameters and on what we would count as an Imperial for this case, what I think of the Empire is a little more complicated than I initially thought when just setting out to, they just have to be Imperial. Was it complicated for either of you, or did you have a pretty clear, like, oh no, this is my litmus test for an Imperial or a good Imperial, so they just kind of fell into place? Was it easy, difficult, what for you guys?
For me, it was actually really tough. Like I have some notes on my phone where I had like 10 names written down. And I had a really tough time narrowing it down at first because there are so many Imperial characters that I like and so many who work well in terms of being like antagonists of their story. So I took a bit of a different approach for mine, where I boiled mine down into basically 3 different categories. One category was most unique. Another one was which one like embodied what the Empire is the most. And the other one is who works as the best antagonist.
Very cool. So
you put a lot of thought into this.
I did.
so not only are they getting a rank, but they're getting a sort of subtitle to.
Yeah, because like honestly, my top 3 are in no particular order. There's not one who stands out as my favorite, and because of that, having that sort of organization system made it easier to justify this list in my brain.
As another compartmentalizing person, I appreciate.
You can say mentally ill.
I mean that too. Speaking of, everyone support our Patreon, pay our therapy bills. But on a serious note, so Patreon, it is a thing. There's also Anchor support, and you can check out the links in the description.
Give us a kiss financially.
I want to say, like, all of our jokes about sending our cats to college and all that aside, Patreon literally just pays for StreamYard and for our video editing software, like any of our subscription fees to what we use to make the podcast. So if you're ever wondering, like, what a few bucks would do for us, that's all it is. So if you like us, if you want to support,
don't like the podcast,
you can do that.
Your fault.
And funny you should mention that, Michael.
If
you don't want to commit to monthly stuff, you can get merch. And we actually just uploaded a couple of new things. And so in addition to our Boop roasted beans,
just
in time. In addition to signifying to the world that you love your beans roasted by the one and only Boop, you can rep our brand, big or little. If you want a little Nerdherder Wookiee on your breastises, you can do that. But now, brand new, just dropping it this week for you.
I don't know what this is.
You can check out our new stuff.
I love it.
So this obviously inspired by the popular sticker. I don't know if anybody else has seen it, but we spotted one recently on our trip to the mall that I'd rather be watching the 1999 cinematic masterpiece, The Mummy. And we love The Mummy. Brendan Fraser, am I right?
Fraser. Am I wrong?
The only thing better than Brendan Fraser, though, and more on brand for us, would have to be Liam Neeson is my jam, especially in the 1999 masterpiece of cinema that is The Phantom Menace. So if you would like to communicate to the world what you would rather be doing than listening to our show, sitting in traffic, or literally anything else, you can get those as stickers, t-shirt, whatever you like.
On the same card that we saw, the 1999 Mummy, we also saw a
Thank you, Andy.
A sticker with a picture of Ted Cruz.
This man ate my son.
And I really want to do one of those with Moff Gideon and the Mandalorian on one side. This man stole my son.
We specifically went to the mall to find this person.
It's true. I wanted to give them a high five so much.
So no, Andy, not Jared in our thumbnail. So keep guessing.
I swear to God, every time someone mentions that name, I forget who it is.
So he's the guy on the Death Star 2, the one, the Emperor is coming here. We shall double our efforts. You know, that guy.
Bootlicker.
The guy with all the deleted scenes.
Right.
Yes.
Where all the good stuff is, that is canon in my mind for sure.
Right.
But to the point of like, it was more complicated. Like for me to compartmentalize, I had to like, why did I like Jared? Like for me, it was the conflict. It was that he still had a little bit of humanity and light left in him. And so, hey, fire on the moon. I kind of don't want to do that. There's a bunch of innocent people down there. That's not very Imperial. So I was like, I really like him as a character, but not because he's Imperial. And so that kind of will make up my list in a similar way to how you mentioned, Michael. Boop. Any trouble with this?
No.
Did you pick one character?
No.
You have to tell me.
I'm going to say, completely sincerely, none of my answers are bits this time. Like,
really?
None of them.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, like every single answer on this little listicle is 100% my genuine answer for my favorite Imperial.
Okay. That's interesting. All right. Well, then I guess let's get into that genuine list of yours. Yeah. Starting off with your number 3. We'll go from there. 3, 2, 1 for everybody.
Yeah. And if it's one of yours too, holler. Okay.
But don't. I have baby ears.
My number 3 is Mr. Fella himself, both in the Clone Wars and in Rebels. Mr. Yularen.
Ooh.
Admiral Yularen.
Mr. Mustache.
Mr. Mustache.
Nice.
He goes from gray to complete white because that's what fascism does to you.
And war.
And
but
war.
Yes.
But mostly fascism.
Greetings, Brennan Marr in the chat.
Brennan. What's up, buddy?
I was not prepared for seeing him, I guess, spoiler alert, show up in Andor.
I didn't know until, like...
I didn't know. I wouldn't have known if I didn't have subtitles on.
Exactly.
Same.
Like, it was such a surprise to get Admiral Yularen yet again in live action, played by a completely different actor because, you know, stuff happens.
Yeah,
time
he was old
on.
In 1977. I don't know what to tell you.
But yeah, I feel like Yularen is the perfect example of what happens when fascism takes over and you are complacent. In essence, he went from one side to the other without thinking that he changed a side. And that was
That's a good way of putting it.
Exactly. Like in his own mental state, I think, he truly believed that he was still serving the Grand Army of the Republic and he was still doing the right thing. But in reality, if he stopped to think for 5 seconds, I think he would have realized, oh no, I'm a Nazi now. Whoopsie daisy.
I've been conscripted. Also, as pointed out by Brennan, one of the I remember names. Yeah, I remember growing up as a kid and like feeling cool having that name in my like mental Rolodex of Star Wars characters.
You gotta explain what a Rolodex is. Michael's a toddler.
It's like, oh, your favorite character is Boba Fett.
Mine I know what a Rolodex is. It's a running joke in my D&D game.
Because it's funny. The concept of a Rolodex is hilarious.
I do think and I agree on Yularen as a great pick for the face that he paints of this side, thinking they're right. Like they're not only right, they're more right because now they're more free than they were in the Republic to bring order and do all of these things. Because he probably thinks what he's doing with the ISB in Andor of like, all right, no restrictions. ISB gets full control. Like
this is to maintain that order.
Yeah,
that we worked so hard for during the Clone Wars.
He is the face of justification for the Empire,
and like he shows up in the Thrawn books a lot, and he's constantly trying to get Thrawn to join the ISB because he thinks he's more useful there.
And I mean, I would be scared of Thrawn in the ISB. To be fair. I think Thrawn's one of those characters, though, that wherever he shows up, he's going to be threatening. But yeah, Yularen's a really good one. Yeah. And
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like you mentioned, going from Clone Wars to the Empire, like I never would have imagined this faceless character. Well, not faceless, this nameless character, I should say, for a long time in A New Hope would mean something. But when he showed up in Clone Wars, whole different mood about the character.
He's so
for sure.
incredibly important, and a great example for why you should be constantly frisking your beliefs. Like when you are presented with new information, take that into consideration. Don't just go along with it for Pete's sake. Because hey, whoopsie, oops, all fascists.
Right. Well, and Andy brings up a good point. One of my favorite things, like to constantly analyze and get more perspective on, is seeing how people chose the Empire. Like it was by vote. Like it happened legal. Because they asked for it. And there's varying degrees of justification, I think. Like, I think you could even go to a point of justifying Yularen. I think there are stories within the Clone Wars that paint the kind of picture of what most people think a separatist is, what most people think a republic official is, and that neither of them are right. And so it's like Yularen's entire thing has been based on viewing the galaxy from the space bridge.
Yep.
Like
he's been at war for most of his career. So what's another war?
Yeah. So like he has a reason to, even if it's wrong, choose to serve the Empire and think he's doing the right thing. And we can all rest well knowing that he paid for his sins on the Death Star.
Yes, he did.
Boy, howdy did he.
So that's the order you wanted, buddy. So there you go.
It's also just so funny that like all this stuff with Yularen started off with some background extra who showed up in A New Hope, and then he just keeps showing up in things constantly, and we've built all this lore around him. It's kind of great, and only Star Wars can do that. No other franchise is capable of it.
Oh yeah, well, and it's just like even in the climate that it is now, where it's just like this happens. Like imagine working on a Star Wars project now. The fans are going to find someone in the background and be like, what's their story? And you're like, crap, I didn't think of that. Bob Yularen, like, it's like, whatever, because like there's always going to be that glup shitto in the furthest background that you didn't plan for, and it's going to be somebody's favorite. And so it's just like, no matter how much you prepare for it, it's going to happen. And I think it's just that's the magic, man. Like even as over-explained and big as Star Wars is, sometimes there's always room for just, I don't know, they're kind of neat and have a mustache.
I didn't mention it, but I do love mustaches, and I love his mustache specifically.
It is a good mustache, and I know.
You
multiple
do.
sources have confirmed.
We're gonna do an episode, favorite mustaches of Star Wars, one day. Just wait.
Just Star Wars?
Well,
just favorite mustaches in general.
I mean, it's our brand. Star Wars kind of is our thing, and Boba's nose is in the show.
Hi, Boba.
Hi, buddy. You're really trying. You're really trying.
You can hear him kind of snorting.
Michael.
What's your number 3, boy?
Okay, number 3. I'm going to start with the Imperial that most embodies the Empire. And that's going to be the main villain of Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, Grand Moff Tarkin.
Very nice. Very nice. Speaking of good names.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee, pretty sure I could speak for you that 90% of your choice was his abs.
100%.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's like, did not care about Tarkin before he showed us his abs. After he showed us his abs, definitely my favorite.
That'd be Hot Tarkin.
Hot Tarkin. Oh goodness. So like you said, most embodying of the Empire.
Yeah, like you point to all of his dialogue in A New Hope, and it's so like evocative of the Empire's ideology, like ruling through fear and just crushing all resistance to rule absolutely. And obviously, he's meant to symbolize the Empire in A New Hope. It's the foundational for what became all of Star Wars. And so like everything that has grown about the Galactic Empire's ideology since, through stuff like Andor, it all started with Tarkin, like as a character. And so every new piece of content we get, he more and more just proves he's kind of the ultimate Imperial. Like he embodies absolutely everything about the Empire.
Absolutely. Well, and there's a reason he was in the status that he was in, and coming off, because he was also in the Clone Wars, coming off of Yularen. They're an interesting comparison because Yularen, again, you can see it from a point of view where he has a veil over his eyes. Tarkin knows exactly what he is, what he's doing, and he doesn't care.
Exactly.
Like, he is exploitative to a T. And although he has a wonderful romance with a stormtrooper, it's not enough to redeem him.
Also, Andy, I thought I was your problematic gay.
Problematic fictional gay.
I'm not sure I exist.
I'm pretty certain. This would be a very elaborate mental breakdown.
As well as most of our friends as well. Well, it's funny you say that, Michael, because my number 2 is
snap.
Hey.
Oh snap, dab on him.
Great minds think alike. But for a completely different reason, not necessarily such a well thought out reason. He's played by Peter Cushing. And
another solid point that I neglected to mention.
And like, as a kid growing up watching those old Hammer horror movies, Universal horror movies, Peter Cushing was such like a cornerstone in my media, I suppose you could say.
He was my first Van Helsing.
He is the best Van Helsing. Well, no, yes, he is the best Van Helsing. We're not going to.
He was also a good Dr. Frankenstein.
Right, yes, he was.
In the same movie that I believe Christopher Lee played.
Yes, he did.
Frankenstein.
Excellent movie. More people should watch it. And so, like, having that in my mind, and then I don't remember sitting down to watch A New Hope for the first time, but I remember my reaction to seeing Dr. Frankenstein on the screen and wearing fuzzy slippers under the camera, which was the tidbit that my dad gave me when we watched it together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, he is such a excellent actor for a evil doctor that is also an evil Nazi leader. Like,
his accent is so perfect for like the pompous, militaristic,
so
like fascist that he is.
Yeah,
exactly.
He's not like hand rubbing, like cackling evil. He is quiet,
cold and
regal.
Calculated.
Yeah, like he has everything that it's not loud. It's not too loud. The scary of him and the evil and the threat. It's quiet and unsettling whisper.
Yeah. You know that he knows.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is unsettling.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely, and like you said, Michael, I agree. Like, I don't know that they knew when they were putting that to film that they were setting up the cast, or I like in the molding sense, they were setting up the mold for all future Imperials. Like, I mean, because come on, like even as recently as Moff Gideon, and so many more, we've been getting Tarkin light and Tarkin adjacent characters since 77 for
Tarkin
45
Supreme.
years.
Anytime there's an Imperial officer, like, we hold them to the standard of Tarkin.
Exactly.
He is kind of that litmus test of all other Imperials, for sure.
How could you compete with that sense of presence that he has on that bridge? Like, you know for a fact that he knew everybody's name and could say it to another stormtrooper and be like, hey, go shoot that guy. He
And
stepped on my toes.
I also wanted to say that I absolutely love that we got Tarkin in Rogue One.
Oh,
I know
yes.
people complain all the time about it. I don't care. I think it looks
No.
great. I lost my mind seeing it in the
Same.
theater. I absolutely adore that. It's one of my favorite things about Rogue One is that he's in it.
I'm right there with you. It wouldn't have felt the same considering A New Hope and his presence with the battle station and everything. Like, it would have felt so odd. Like, where did this guy come from?
And finding out that he's a plagiarizing bastard.
Oh,
Yep.
like, absolutely. That's absolutely his thing. Like, if you know anything about the Tarkin Initiative, that birthed such projects like the Death Star, but also like 000 and BT-1 and other murderous mechanisms.
So good.
All of that was just a matter of like letting loose a bunch of scientists and
also a chimera.
right.
That did happen.
Like, that's right, yeah, from the often forgotten about, but Tales from Vader's Castle series.
Good.
But yeah, like, he just let people go, and then when it worked, it was his, and when it wasn't, it was a hushed accident. Like,
Exactly.
we're just gonna move that over there and not talk about it again.
Under one of the many battle stations rugs.
Right. So, and I've just never had a problem with that or Leia's CGI. Not that this is the Rogue One cast or anything, but it's just like I've never.
It could be.
Never understood that gripe. I
could do the Rogue One.
I don't know, right now. But it is what it is. Scotty and Eli are just wrong. Okay, so
multiple sources have confirmed that.
They could go suck eggs in hell. I give it not a care.
So,
I was literally just thinking about how Tarkin is the opposite of Hux, where Hux is on a giant stage screaming at the top of his lungs.
Right.
Tarkin's just casually speaking because he knows he's got the power. He doesn't need to yell it. Everything about his presence gives that already.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and it almost highlights something that, sorry to be real, but is indicative of Nazis versus neo-Nazis. All bad. Don't get me wrong. One's just louder at being bad.
One has more platforms.
One bites, one barks. And it's the same, I think, with comparing Tarkin to Hux. And a lot of that neo-empire, because clearly that's what it's based on. And so, but yeah, I love all of that. Tarkin was very close on my list for just the subtitle that you mentioned, evoking the most empire when you think of a poster child. Mm-hmm. I think a poster grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. Sexy grandpa.
He's like the statue. Everyone's got a bust of Tarkin in their office. That was the guy,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How every generic office has a frame photo of Ronald Reagan. They've got frame photos of Tarkin.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my gosh, I want that in Star Wars. Well, we were watching what movie it was Wolfman, I think, where they had was it Wolfman? There was a picture in the background.
No.
It was Exorcist.
It was The Exorcist.
It was The Exorcist.
Where they had a framed picture of LBJ or somebody on the wall, and I was like, he wasn't even president.
I don't even know why. I don't know how I mixed up Exorcist and
I don't know. No, it was Roosevelt.
There you go.
Roosevelt.
I don't know.
It was just why?
What? That's probably why she's possessed.
My grandma, my beautiful Kentuckian grandma, had a picture of JFK framed in her home for a very long time. Right next to the picture of Jesus and the Virgin Mary. She was
Holy
very
Trinity.
Catholic.
Yeah. Yes, apparently.
Incredibly Catholic.
Spectacles, testicles, wallet, and watch. Just, my goodness. Anyway, so like I mentioned, much like you, I have to compartmentalize, Michael.
What's your number 3?
And so to help me come up with that, because I had a lot of choices and I was just trying to I like a lot, but when I'm trying to condense down on I really like these and why, I needed a good reason for why. And so for me, my number 3 will probably upset some Imperial fans. Luckily, no one listens to this podcast, but my number 3 is Thrawn. Because
you just hit my number 2.
Ding, ding, ding.
I knew there was going to be overlap. Let's go.
Oh man, we're 2 for 2 now. So for me, the reason why he's number 3, because he was my number 1 for a long time, but the more I thought about it was he's really good at Empire, but it's not because he believes in the Empire or anything like it.
He's cool.
Yeah.
And it serves his purpose. He's selfish. He's looking out for the Chiss in his species. Mm-hmm. And so it's although in doing that, he's being a model Imperial officer.
Yeah.
He's not necessarily the face of the Empire, no matter how effective he is. So it's if we're going off of effectiveness, he would have made number 1. If we're just going on who's the most Empire, for me, he's really good, but he's not the most Empire.
For sure. The role I put him in my list was most effective antagonist. He is so unique as an antagonist in Star Wars, being so calculated. Because Palpatine's calculated, but he's also incredibly physically powerful as well.
Yes.
Thrawn is all in the brain, and he's purely a tactician. Yeah, and he's it's always so like awesome, whether you're listening or reading one of the Thrawn books or seeing him in Rebels, just seeing him break down a situation and his reasoning. And he gets compared to Sherlock Holmes a lot. And it's kind of apt. It's like if Sherlock Holmes was a military like tactician and the villain of a story. Like
Yeah. It's just expertly voiced by Lars Mikkelsen and also Mark Thompson in the Thrawn books.
Yes.
Which his Thrawn voice.
Incredible.
Really
uncanny.
Nice.
And just his pronunciation as well. Because if you do the books, you've got to say his name several times.
Who says his... Can you pronounce his full
No,
name?
I'm not even going to... Sounds like an Italian. So for me, it's absolutely that. Like, he's good at working within the Empire because he's so brilliant. But it comes down to a means to an end. Like, had he and Ezra and the rebels at Lothal not encountered, he probably would have stayed in the fight, would have probably caused more trouble for the rebels.
Got kidnapped by some whales.
Yeah, it just
hate it when that happens.
And so it's just like, had he gone on, who knows what would have happened. But at some point, it comes down to he's looking to either use the Empire or like sabotage the Empire from within.
Either way.
And in the meantime, he's going to play the game because like he just can't not be Thrawn. So he's going to start up a GoFundMe for TIE defenders and all this other stuff. Like, okay, dude, and we're going to, root out some saboteurs within the Imperial ranks. Like, okay.
And at the same time, he also like, I think it's so interesting in the books how much he is like terrible at politics, like great military leader, and everyone at every turn are like, everyone he turns to at every corner, like Arinda Price and Yularen, are like, dude, you need to get like a handle on like your political like standing, because like you're a great tactician, but people are gonna like push back on you if you don't like stand up for yourself in that regard. And he's like, that's not my battlefield. It's just not.
Because it's very much just this thing of just like, it makes sense to me, so it's the way, right? And it's just like, that's not how this meeting works.
Like he doesn't get he can't wrap his mind around like the impracticality of politics. Like it should be so straightforward in his mind, so he just can't understand it any other way.
That hits the nail on the head. Is it's just like he can't not shoot straight no matter what. Like it's just so funny. And that's where like in his relationship with Thras highlights that very sadly briefly in his story, although he gets referenced a few times. But and so it, like if you can't tell, for me it's canon Thrawn. I'm not saying overall to put one over the other, but I didn't like Thrawn until the new canon. I thought he was an interesting foil, but I like overall it just felt like, all right, it's kind of the Superman thing where it's just like he's too powerful, too much. It's just Emperor round 2, and he just seems unbeatable. Like he never felt like. He felt indomitable. It was all of the things we like for him in this new one, but I feel like some handicaps are highlighted. Some things happen that really show that although, yes, he's brilliant, he's amazing, he's probably the best the Empire has, he's not perfect either. And somebody will probably point out, well, that one time in Heir to the Empire, he stubbed his toe, and like,
I can't read.
And I think his inclusion in the new canon benefits so much from not having a boring, terrible character like Joru Sabayoth right by him at all times. I'm sorry to go on a rant, but like I hate Joru Sabayoth. He is so boring and uninteresting and just like sucks the life out of the original Thrawn trilogy for me, especially because there is so much stuff like focused around him.
Right. He's instrumental and yet dull. And that's like this benefits from some of those hindsights of, all right, we're going to pull that out. We're going to condense that. Like, I think the substance is there for Thrawn in both iterations. I think for me, I just like the condensed, maybe a little bit more imperfect, or maybe just more human adaptation of him in this. And like you mentioned, like anytime you get a Mickelson behind your character,
Well,
you're gonna win. And
Tater
if
agree.
anybody but him plays him in live action, I will riot. That will be the day. I'm ripping up my shield check because I can't do it.
Paint him
Yeah.
blue. A little bit of hair dye. You're good.
His that voice.
You don't want Pierce
he's
Brosnan?
just so good. No. No.
But he's Dr. Fate.
I don't care. He can't redeem himself from what he's done as Bond. Okay, like he did what he did. It just happens.
Shark,
okay,
literally and physically.
So
you know what I meant.
So yeah. So for me, third, not because he's lesser in some regards than the others I'm going to pick, but as an Imperial, like my heart makes me put him at number 3. So
nice. Do you want to go ahead and give your number 2?
You already gave yours, right?
Yeah.
And you already gave yours.
Yeah. So we just circle back to you immediately.
Oh, well, dang. All right. As if I don't talk enough on my old show.
I don't know. Maybe we'll have something to comment on.
So kind of moving up the scale. So if we start off with they're really good in the Empire, but they're not the most Imperial. Middle ground of that would be probably my first favorite Imperial that I can remember at least. And that is General Veers.
Ooh.
Okay.
Veers much would like
Maximilian Veers.
Yes. With a name like that, how couldn't you?
Yeah. Also, Andy wants to have words with you, apparently.
Oh, no. Listen, okay. I love many a Bond film, but I can't watch the Pierce Brosnan ones. I tried recently. I was like, I'm going to give these another shot. Because let's be honest, my favorite is Roger Moore. It's got to be better than Roger Moore. I couldn't make it through the first one. I think it was like GoldenEye or something, or one of them. I don't know. I couldn't do it. I'm sorry, Andy.
I've never watched outside of Daniel Craig, so I don't have much of an opinion on the matter.
Same, but Casino Royale sure is
good.
Very good.
Shout out to Pellion.
Pellion's also great.
He is. I remember Veers in the very brief amount of scenes that we get of him in Empire Strikes Back. I just remember him being the first one. I'm just like, oh.
He's got a funky hat.
Like, he's cool, but he's also threatening because he feels efficient. Like, because all you see is he's the one, he's like, yeah, my superior was kind of dumb. And I admit that. So it's like, okay, he's smart. And then he shows up with a fleet of AT-ATs, and it's just like, oh, he's destroying the rebellion. He's threatening. And then it's just this matter of like, there's no conflict, none of that. So he's loyal, and it's just like, boom, boom, boom. He's just checking all the boxes of your standard Imperial. He just has a cool hat too. And he like Blizzard Squadron. Like, come on. Like,
that's pretty
blows
dope.
Up that shield generator.
He gets stuff done. He's cool. I said it on Twitter and I stand by it. He's the Y-wing of Imperial officers for me, where it's just like, y'all don't know how much he helped the Empire. Like, the Empire would not be the Empire without General Veers in their ranks.
And the rebellion would not be the rebellion without the Y-wing.
Exactly. The real heroes. All I'm saying. So yeah, so there you go. So moving up the scale for me on General Veers. I love all of the Hoth stuff. Because arguably that's where we see the action of the Empire being the Empire. It's such a like ethereal thing in the first one. We see the Death Star. We see all these like scary looking white clad stormtroopers. We see all these things, but we don't really feel the Empire until like the first scene of Empire, where it's just like, no, this is what it means. This is what the galaxy is seeing and experiencing. This is bad. And to have Veers leading that was where it was just like, oh, I'm into it. So
and he's got a cool hat.
He
does.
That Thrawn steals for his like.
He does. I forgot
it. He suits up like Veers, man. I'm telling you, he wants to be Veers. He really wants to.
My good friend Maximilian. That
is a very. Maybe I will grow a mustache.
Thrawn just takes on the traits of all the other Imperials we like. He's slowly accumulating.
Behind.
It's just, oh my gosh, it's like a weird episode of Xiaolin Showdown.
I'm down with that.
Now that is a deep cut.
Yes, it is.
If anybody
somebody watch WB Kids.
I did.
Oh wow,
that was WB.
There you go.
That
after episodes of Jackie Chan Adventures.
Yeah.
Oh.
What an era! What
My
an era!
childhood.
There you go. So we're really to both of your number ones now.
My number
So,
one.
Yeah.
Well,
last chance for crossover.
There will not be crossover with
not.
my number one. I guarantee
Mine neither.
you.
I know for a fact.
Okay.
Also, honorable mention: General Tullius from Skyrim is also my favorite Imperial.
Oh, good pick. Good pick.
No, he's the face of the Empire, and
I'm a Hadvar man myself.
Ooh, Hadvar is very good. Hadvar saved.
Hang on. So that fight scene goes on way too long. When nobody intervenes when they spill out into the hallway or anything. Like, come on.
They have swords.
What? Come on.
They have swords. Would you intervene on a sword fight?
I would throw something at them. I don't know.
I like the scene where James Bond plays poker.
I like the scene.
Casino Royale is underrated.
I like
it's so good. It's
he's
so
sitting
good.
in a chair with a
Mads Mikkelsen is there.
He is.
Oh man.
The sooner we break them up, the sooner we get to Mads Mikkelsen in my Bond. So yes.
More Bond. More Mikkelsen. And then he dies.
If you can't tell where my allegiances are, then
and Schaeffer is supposed to be like a super like tubby guy with a scar on his face with severe asthma. So they really upped Schaeffer.
They really did.
Anyway.
Sorry.
So my number one is the most important aspect of the Empire. The Empire would not run without them.
Oh my God.
So whenever we watch a Star Wars movie together, there is a particular thing that comes on the screen that I point at the screen and I say out loud. And what is that thing, John?
Is it a mouse droid?
It's a mouse droid.
My favorite Imperial is mouse droids.
Let's go.
You said that you were going to be genuine.
It is genuine. I get no... Listen, there is nothing that makes me more excited than seeing a mouse droid on screen. They are so little. They move real fast. And they make squeaky noises. And the Empire would not run without them. They are messengers from place to place. How are you going to send a text message without a mouse droid? Honestly.
I'm sold.
I told you, this is not a bit. I am serious. Mouse droids are my favorite Imperial. Conversate, please.
I agree. There's nothing I can add. I just
thank you.
Solid pick, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. They're Imperial.
They are Imperials. I almost went with
you really like walked me in because like you start off so strong. Like no,
I was really sold that there was not going to be any like crazy answer
not a bit.
And I'm just like the whole time, and you get two legitimate answers.
Yeah, this is legitimate too. I'm telling you, it is not a bit. I love mouse droids.
You're getting
so much.
You're getting smarter, and it's scary. No,
all the mouse droids keep bringing Boop more information, and they get smarter.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get a mouse droid tattoo. You watch.
Yeah, I can't hate on a mouse droid. Okay,
it's true.
They're amazing. They are instrumental to Tarkin and TK421's love story. So you know.
Can't have a love story. You can't have an empire. How many mouse droids died on the Death Star? Can we get
probably a lot. Probably a sizable amount.
Heartbreaking.
So,
mouse droids.
I mean, we didn't say not droids.
Exactly, and that's what I was banking on. I was waiting for you to say.
Which means next time I'm just gonna.
Next time you'll have to add a few more caveats.
You cannot put that up. You cannot make that parameter.
I can't. We're allowable. I will be more cautious with our parameters in future episodes.
I'll get around them.
I clearly.
I'm in your walls.
These episodes, if you haven't gathered, are a mental exercise for Boop on how to push their own agenda.
Okay.
How to find every loophole.
This is the gay agenda, folks.
This is the gay agenda.
Mouse droids do deliver the gay agenda. That has been confirmed.
Rainbow mouse
multiple sources. Oh
multiple
my God.
Sources confirm that mouse droids are the best Imperial.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I accept your
Andy's calling you out.
What are you, roboticist?
I am no. I allow it.
Droidist?
Okay.
You allow them. Wow, very progressive of you.
God.
You tolerate them.
Oh,
but you don't accept them.
if yours is a probe droid, Michael, I quit.
That was a great idea. Thank you. Michael?
Mine is not a probe droid. Mine is someone who probably no one here knows, because he is only in 3 books, and I think he shows up in a comic once.
I can't read.
My pick, which fell into the category of most unique Imperial, is from the Alphabet Squadron books. He is a man named Captain Soren Keyes. And so this probably is going to require a bit of explanation and maybe a bit of spoilers for Alphabet Squadron. So Soren Keyes, during Operation Cinder, defects from the Empire and actually tries to like wander the galaxy and live on his own for a few months. And the New Republic like is hunting him down. And so he realizes he can't live in peace. He realizes that for him and people like him, Imperials who did what they did, there is no living in the galaxy where the New Republic won't find them and make them face consequences for their actions. So he goes back to the Empire, but he doesn't do it because he believes the Empire is right. He knows the Empire is wrong, but is loyal to his men from his squadron, Shadow Wing, and wants some of them to have a chance at a life after the Empire falls, because he knows the Empire will fall. He knows he's fighting a losing battle. And so that alone is like super interesting and super unique for an Imperial. I agree, Andy. And by the time you get to the 3rd book and you find out what his like end game is and what he like finds out, because you know Operation Cinder, they sent all these Imperial messenger droids. One of those messenger droids gets destroyed, and Keyes starts picking it apart because he has a theory, and he's like, these droids had to know who to pick. And Alden.
Ooh,
Alden knows. Team Big Chungus, let's go.
A boo drive by Alden.
Yeah. So Soren Keyes finds out that these droids had an algorithm for determining who, like which Imperials got the Operation Cinder orders. And he discovers that there is like an entire database on Coruscant of every Imperial with every like minor infraction, every crime ever committed, every breach of code, every like war crime they ever committed, all so that these droids could figure out who is the best candidates to carry out Operation Cinder. Ooh. And he realizes if the New Republic gets that, every Imperial has to face consequences for what they did. And so his goal shifts to destroying that database. And just like the complete loyalty to his men and the sort of complex morality of it, because he definitely isn't right, but also the main character of the Alphabet Squadron books, Irica Quell, she really doesn't know if she like disagrees with him, but she still tries to stop him anyway because she thinks it's the right thing to do. But even then, like, he's such a morally complex character, and he's not evil because he knows what the Empire did was wrong, but he's also not willing to take any accountability for what the Empire did.
He just it's like, it's over, I just want out. Like,
yeah, it's so fascinating, and there is no other Imperial like Soren Keyes, and that's why he made my list.
That's interesting. I mean, like you said, like you're not going to come across something quite that unique for, like, that is one of the things I'm really digging about Andor, which we get to chat about in the new year. For anybody wondering, we're just going to info dump when it's all over.
Yes, because Nerdherder is short for late to the party.
But what they're doing now is that everybody's complicated.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily new. But I like that it's that forward. This isn't a show where everybody's going to watch. It's not in a comic that someone might read. It's not in a book that a few dozen people really, really love. it's in a show that everybody's watching.
Yeah.
And it's highlighting everybody's messy and complicated and has their own reasons for rebelling or for bringing order, whatever. Like it's doing the same thing Rogue One did, where it's just like, sides, who's heard of them? It's just fighting. Everybody's fighting their own agenda, and they just happen to align one way or the other with a certain mass of people.
Mm-hmm.
So to have a character that's very much just like, no, I'm not like some zealot for the Empire. I've just got things I have to do.
Yeah. I have a shopping list.
That's him.
And it so happens that all my friends are too stupid to realize that the Empire is like going down, because like the Alphabet Squadron books go into great detail about like the almost religious zealotry of the Empire, where like there are long chapters in those books where Keyes is like walking around his Star Destroyer and the Imperial messenger droid is just standing there not doing anything, not giving any information, and there are like Imperials coming to leave like offerings to it, like begging for Palpatine's guidance in these dark times. Like it is like cult-like, the depths to which they've been indoctrinated. Well, and that's what Keyes is like fighting against, because he wants these people to have lives and move on after it's all over.
Which is kind of altruistic in the grand scheme of things, because like it is like the Empire's always been an allegory for politics and war and all of that. So I don't think it's very surprising when I say that that's obviously drawing a true thread to nationalism. This cult-like behavior about one's country and political alignment and leader and military and all of these things, where I don't care how right you might be, the cultist behavior is wrong. Like it's not. No. Like it could be the Jedi. Yeah, idolizing them was also wrong. It could be any other country. Idolizing them is wrong. Like anytime you turn state into a church, it's wrong. Like I think that's a thing, and not putting words in the creator's mouth that that's what they're doing, but it definitely has those vibes of like calling out that sort of behavior, where it's just like, how could people go down with a sinking ship like that? Oh, that's why. You know. And so coming back around, before getting to my final, Andy submitted their top
Love
3.
It. Krennic was an honorable mention for me.
Love Krennic.
If Krennic had been more successful,
well, Krennic's unsuccessful middle management, like, and that's why he's great. Like, he's just petulant,
right? Yes. No, I see too much of myself
to ask for credit,
like, right? Like, so you'll mention me to the like, so I see too much of myself in Krennic. That's my problem. But no, Krennic's great. I loved his addition and the lore brought in with him, and Galen and all of that, and of course followed by Tarkin. Sunterfell is familiar to my brain, but I can't recall that information at the moment.
I don't know who that is.
And then I think we already mentioned Jared at the top of the show as well. I had trouble because the reason I like them was not Imperial. They felt like they had too much humanity left. And I pity that he was still on the Death Star when it went down, because I think he would have hung up his cat and his Boontalers, or whatever those pants are called.
Boontalers?
I don't know, what are those things called with
Pantaloons?
the pads?
They're called Boontalers. Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna call them Boontalers.
So is it me, or do the Boontalers look sillier in Andor than they do in like A New Hope or whatever? Because like Tarkin has Boontalers too, but like I'm like, of course he does. Of course he does.
Of course he does.
But,
he's a space fascist. Of course he does.
Deidre's assistant has them, and I'm just like, my guy.
Those are just fashionable. My guy.
Like, what are you doing?
Could we, like, I can't wait until the new year to talk about this. Star Wars ties are stupid. Why are they just part of this shirt?
Yes.
I don't like
fashion.
it.
What's that?
Star Wars ties. The fact that it's just
I love the rectangle tie.
No,
I love the rectangle tie.
How does he take it off?
That's the only thing other than his cereal that's good about Siren.
Wait, what? Cyril Khan?
Cereal.
Cereal.
I don't know why.
Cyril, you both got his name wrong.
Look,
Blue Real Boy has a lot of problems. He might be a stalker, but he's got good ties.
Pathetic. And I love that man.
But I do agree with Alden. Empire fashion, I kind of like it. I kind of like it. The capes, there's capes everywhere. It's amazing.
I do love a cape, but that's just because I'm gay.
No, so not necessarily the six. It's just that like Krennic, I have more pity than I do appreciation for as a character. Like he's always getting shafted, and that should make me like him more. But I'm also kind of just like, dude, just like
you just want to point at him and go, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, like
Seed,
like
cope.
There's a reason he has the cape. There's a reason he has the old, like I think even in my cross section book it mentions that like he has that old like freighter fighter. Specifically to be like, oh yeah, see that weird one in the background? That's mine. They only made 10 of those. They outlawed him 1,000 years ago or whatever. Like it's like
you are saucy tonight, Andy.
Everything he does is to like outshine his shortcomings.
Yeah.
But that said, I would wear a cape in a heartbeat to remind people I'm not depressed. So
Will you wear a cape?
Relatable. So anyway,
you would be unstoppable if you wore a cape.
Multiple sources will confirm that.
I would just follow you around and flap the cape.
I need one of those like collared cape ones.
Yes.
Kind of almost not quite as
God,
like
I'm going to Amazon.
Not as big as Lando's, but evocative of Lando for sure.
Yes. With this hair and a cape.
That's how they get you. That's how the space fascists get you. Is they're like, look. We don't do dental.
Come for the fashion, and you end up staying with all the fashion.
Yeah, it's the capes and the 401k, and that's it. Like that's how they get you.
Capes or Nerdherder lingerie.
Well, okay, so it is funny you mentioned that, Andy, because I've been deflecting long enough.
What's your number one, baby?
My number one is Moff Gideon.
Hey, another honorable mention from me.
Nice.
I thought about him for like 15 minutes.
For me, it went back and forth with him and Tarkin. And so whereas Tarkin made your list, it sounds like in a flip side, Gideon made mine. And part of the reason is, and the only reason I could come up with of why I kept like battling between Tarkin and Gideon, because like I said, moving up my list of they're not that great of an Imperial, but they're really great. They're really good at being Imperial, but they don't do anything like massively amazing. Up to like, no, I think they really embody both the ideals and the action and evil of the Empire. For me, it was kind of tied up with Gideon and Tarkin, and of course, Gideon comes equipped with Darksaber, a cape, and also a very Maximilian stylized armor piece. It's just like all the things are coming in there. All of it's there, and it's all black. And so the biggest thing I came to, like I said, why he won out. We get Tarkin in A New Hope. And a little bit in Rogue One, which I really love. We've already hit that. I do like him where he shows up in Rebels and in Clone Wars and all of that, and even Bad Batch. But I feel like what we get with Gideon, I guess, just on my mind now, because this list could change next week, next month. I don't know. But for now, I'm just like,
nothing is.
I don't know. I like the substance of what we're getting with Gideon more because it feels like he's interacting more with what's happening kind of right now with the Mandalorian and all of that.
He is very closely entwined with the plot of the Mandalorian and like the lore of Mandalore. And so there's so much more of a personal stake with him than Tarkin really had in A New Hope, which is, not bashing Tarkin, of course. He made my list and Gideon didn't. But for the sake of the story of the Mandalorian, Gideon is a very effective antagonist in that way. I agree.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And so I think it's just, I think it's that. I think it's just a matter of he feels weightier and what we have going on with the Imperial remnant. Which again, being that they're still clinging to life with the Empire's flag reigning, it shows their commitment to this evil agenda and whatnot. And Gideon has no qualms about what he's doing either. He's ready to kill the child. He's probably killed others. He ordered the destruction of Mandalore, supposedly.
Yeah.
So it's like, nah, like he's evil. He is Imperial. And so at least for me, for right now on my list, when I think of Empire, I think of Gideon. It does help that Giancarlo, he's kind of an amazing actor.
He is absolutely incredible.
I got to see him on stage at Celebration when Christina Ariel was interviewing him. I was with Jerry and Trey. We were like 100-ish feet away from him, so that was neat.
Oh, dude.
How hard did you squeal? And who squealed up?
Just a little bit.
So, and much like with Peter Cushing with Tarkin, like having someone like that bringing them to life, it's good. And getting to being in a story
in Breaking Bad.
At the helm of Favreau and Filoni and other great character creators. Because regardless of what you think, and I'm not saying they give them a trilogy, they get Star Wars. Like, no, they're really good at making characters, though. I know that much.
They're great at it. They're really good at long form media.
Like if we really broke it down too, like they cast the vision and then a lot of other talented directors execute it.
Yeah.
So like it's not directly them, but they made the bones for Gideon and got a wonderful cast for it. And so it meets in the middle with being just a really good character.
Yeah.
And so,
question.
Yes.
I know you haven't seen Breaking Bad, but had you seen him in anything else before that? Like, had you seen Do the Right Thing or anything like that?
Or have you played Far Cry 6 or whatever?
No. I'm trying to
game.
think. I do think I've seen him in something else where he was a bad guy, but I can't recall.
Was half his face missing?
No. I
take his face. Oh.
Thank you, buddy. Attaboy. That's why you're on the show.
No, but I get the reference. I'd have to look up his IMDb to see if I recognize the movie it was in, but I've seen him at least in one other place. Yeah, and I remember that being the thing of, I don't know if that was the choice I made, but I knew it was definitely contributing. Like, and it was around the time of The Mandalorian when he was announced for this and everything, and I was excited. The movie comes along, he's in it, he's the bad guy, added to the watch list. So there's something about, he brings some of the same thing Peter Cushing brings, where it's just like
it's this quiet imminence.
Yeah, like
yeah.
He knows how to play bad, but not by being bad. Like, not, I guess I mean like in action. Like he's not always the one doing it, but he's making it happen for sure.
He has the air of someone who has built a reputation.
Mm-hmm.
I know Alden said that, Moff Gideon went for the cape and armored combo as well, but really like Gideon is just the way more impressive version of Krennic. Like, he's got the style. He makes super dramatic entrances in his sick TIE fighter.
He does.
He also makes super dramatic exits from his cool TIE fighter.
Yeah.
He does.
And he's got like the actual like military capacity to back it up. You see his ruthlessness when he basically just tells that Imperial to just off his cohorts and like take the ship down. Long live the Empire. Like, I feel like we often forget about that incredible moment, but that's really, I think, Gideon's most effective moment as a villain.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he and it's not like I love Krennic. I think that he's well acted, and if you cherry pick scenes of him where he is pressing his thumb on the rebellion or on usurping Imperials, you get Tarkin Jr. vibes for sure.
Yeah,
you get that. But when you put him in the room with Tarkin, when you put him in the room with Vader, he shrivels up. He's what Gideon is, what he could have been if Krennic had more success, and arguably if some of that success hadn't been stolen from him. I absolutely agree.
I made this.
I love them both, but one of them wins a lot more. And I think that's what ultimately put Gideon up for me, is whereas Krennic has the vibe and the essence of the Empire and whatnot. I also think that he's bogged down by his own agenda, because you can tell it's very tied to his self-worth.
I'd like a counter in the bottom corner of the screen. How many times have we said the word agenda?
Yes. No, but like everything Krennic does is so personal. And I think that's part of the problem too, is like
he's out for his own gain.
And that's
he's not Empire number one, he's Krennic number one.
Exactly.
And that's why he gets his feelings hurt. That's why he finds himself on the receiving end in meetings. Like,
hurt.
Like it's just, now here's the thing. Did I want Krennic to win? Absolutely, because I have been shafted by management just like that several times.
Yes.
I shall inform the Emperor that I'll be taking control of the weapon that I first mentioned a million years ago. Like, no, this is mine. This is mine, sir. Like, no, I've been there. So trust me. I was rooting for him, but then it just didn't happen, and he got blowed up by his own gun. So
when they called that hubris.
Gideon mocked a force baby, a wizard baby. Thank you, Alden.
But still a baby. Does he have teeth? Probably not.
Okay, but to be fair, you would throw up after eating macarons as well if you were putting up with Din Djarin's driving. Okay,
so
probably
every day.
Okay. If throwing up is an indictment of maturity, then I sir am a wee babby.
I throwed up.
I throwed up.
Yeah, throwed up.
Well,
Can we get a T-shirt with Michael on it that just says I throwed up?
If me putting Thrawn as my number 3 wasn't controversial enough, we are apparently anti-Krennic stands. No, we're
Krennic do better.
If Krennic do better, that's the new Nerdherder.
Hashtag Krennic do better.
Better.
So if it was more than 3, if it was more than the Holy Trinity, I'm sure we could have included many others.
I have a list of like 7 or 8 honorable mentions.
Yeah, I mean, I went around the bin on several. Like Governor Price even was a big one for me.
Yeah, like I had Deidre Miro, Gideon Hask, Ciena Ree, all of Titan Squadron, like.
Yeah,
I know who some of those people are.
Deidre's quickly moving up my list. Not having the complete Andor series.
That is the only reason she didn't make mine.
I didn't want to do it yet because I didn't want to be like, oh my gosh, she's amazing and also evil and so like.
She's got women in management vibe, and I respect that.
But Alden mentioned on Twitter as well.
I don't follow him.
Harntag, not the head of the ISB, but the one leading those meetings. He's very good as well. Like,
oh yeah,
he's up there as well on the. No, I know I'm bad, but I'm good at being bad, so I'm gonna do it.
His first scene is so incredible. We are healthcare providers. Good.
He's the one. Like, he's got some fancy like preacher level illustration for what they're doing. It
really is preacher level. That's what it was on.
But it makes a little Baptist.
Right?
It blew my mind.
The world is full of Legos, and we are the manual.
Do you know who's really among us?
Oh
Jesus
my gosh.
H. Christ.
Oh, so clearly we could have gone on and on. Oh
no.
I'm happy to be your Nerdherder rival.
We need to get the two of you on an episode together so that you guys can battle it out.
Yes.
I think we have. Wasn't I with Andy on the solo episode?
Yes, you were.
Yes, you were. Never mind.
But little did they know
I'll be on the show with Andy again.
No, that was early in the year. That was like March. So it's like little did they know the rivalry that was brewing.
It's true.
Yes, literally all of our favorite people We're so lucky to have
Yeah.
friends that like what we like and also are just so much fun to talk to. So thank you, Michael.
How do you feel about the
anytime.
Twilight baseball scene?
I think it's one of the better scenes in Twilight.
Wow. Fair.
What?
Do you not remember the X-Men episode? You freaking shill.
But what does that have to do now?
I
This is
just
like your
need to
B
check
question
in.
all over again.
Do I have an answer from Michael?
Michael's
It's
answered
not
the B question,
hyper-focus.
right?
I've
pretty
answered the
sure.
B question.
You
It's like
answered the
10
B
or
question,
less.
yeah.
I feel like any more than like 3 or 4, I'd probably like pass out like
You
with
would
fear.
vomit because you're a baby.
I am a baddie.
Oh,
Walking into the podcast room at 3 a.m. I threw up the bees.
well, luckily you're old enough to be on the show, so
True. 18 and up.
It's something like that. And so again, maybe we'll revisit. Obviously, there's more Empire talk to be had, but as we've said, Troopers, Dark Jedi. There's so many more lists to be counted.
First Order officers and soldiers too.
Yeah, and shout out to Alden, because like I do have to separate Empire, First Order, different breeds,
Yes.
different lists altogether. But the invitation is still there. If you want to come talk Pyre with me, not to spoil my list, but you are welcome to do so.
Very true.
So it's a good analysis for work, like the working together of individuals.
It's the best scene in all of the Twilight series.
I'm the dad in the stands. Earth him up.
Second only to Bella. Where have you been, Loca? And that's it.
I haven't,
We need
and
to watch the Twilight series.
I'd like to still exist in a world
I like
where
the scene in New
them.
Moon where she says, "Actually, I really don't listen to music," or whatever she says. Like she says just something like, "I don't really like music, or I don't listen to music." It's just
the
so like
best
vapid.
projection
Here's
of Mike ever.
Here's the thing, and shush, because I can't put you out. All right, just watch Vampire Suck.
No,
just watch Vampire Suck.
Why would I do that?
The Clone Wars is Anakin Skywalker. Matt Latner is in that movie as Edward Sullen. It's amazing. It gives you everything you need. I'm telling you.
Hop in, losers. We're gonna go watch Twilight.
Well, you do that.
I'll
Me
do
and
it.
Alden are gonna go rewatch Star Wars Resistance.
Fine.
So more lists to be had in the future. You got to subscribe if you want that, or follow wherever you get the podcast. Shout out again, merch.
Buy the merch.
Also, now that our Discord has helped me settle on the design for our Francor,
Thank you.
more merch. Oh my gosh. That design will be going up soon. Francor the Rancor will be getting his own stuff as well. So
he's having a snack.
More to come. Like I said, if you want to support the show, it goes just to making the show. If we ever do make it big, we are sending the cats to college.
Send me to college.
In the meantime, you can check the links in the description, as well as for charities. November is Transgender Awareness Month, so it's better time than ever, which is all the time, by the way, to support the Amidala Initiative. That link's down there. Just give to the charity.
Give to the dang charities.
I can't save that one.
No, you can't, and that's okay.
You fool! I'll do it. I'll do it to myself.
If you don't support the charities, it will become Transgender Awareness Month, because I'm coming for you.
Multiple sources have confirmed that.
Multiple sources. I will send a hammerhead bat towards you.
Next week, we are taking a look back at some vintage Star Wars, celebrating the 19th anniversary of.
Don't we call that vintage?
It is the original Clone Wars series, micro series by Gendy Tartakovsky. Nearly 20, and so looking back on that,
hate the concept of aging.
I don't think we have talked exclusively about that since the early days.
Don't go back and listen to it,
because we started our Clone Wars rewatch, which was one of our first things.
Yeah,
we started it with Gendy's Clone Wars.
Yep.
So it could be as long ago as 2018.
Good God.
So it's about time we return to the GOAT.
About dang time.
So that's next week. No promo, because again, I'm
Just watch it, man.
I'm lazy.
Just go watch it.
but watch it, yes, because we are going to talk about it.
Whether you want
and
us to
have
or
a
not.
lot of fun. You want to talk about Jedi Glup-Shitos? There's plenty in that
Shagai.
series. Oh my goodness.
Yep,
So,
Shaggy.
right. Yeah, because in every other media, she's just a forgotten Togruta. The only one that matters is Ahsoka, apparently. I'm not bitter. Anyway,
You're a little bitter.
I'm a little bitter.
The superior Grievous.
And
The
so
Supreme Grievous.
oh man,
Supreme Prime.
who you should think
Grievous.
of when you think Grievous, and I'm sad because a larger view of the Force was supposed to be a part of the show. Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to, but they are the biggest Grievous stan
It's true.
ever. Like if you know who they are, you know that, but if you don't, check it out. They're also an amazing duo of podcasters as well, but
It's true.
we'll still be having fun. Don't worry about that.
You got thoughts and vibes? Come share them.
Yeah, but that's next week. In the meantime, now that it's not spooky, I know what we're doing. What?
Still spooky.
I mean, in the back, like we put it away until we need it again.
Incorrect. I'm always spooky.
Well, yes, but right
in the
right now,
meantime.
in the meantime,
I suppose you could stay scruffy.
in the meantime, stay scruffy.
Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.